Can you just grab that for me, mate, just quickly there?
Good morning, it's now day 7. We're in Longreach. We had a little bit of rain overnight, but it's nice blue, well, sort of blue sky. It's a little bit cloudy, but a little bit breezy. Heading off to, where are we going? Stockman's Hall of Fame and to the Qantas Museum. We're here again tonight. We're going to do one of their river cruises and a camp oven dinner. So that's our plan. Hopefully the breeze will go away. It is definitely a tour of the park.
Yeah. Roll it, put the fall on it, hook it on the handle within an hour roughly. But this all up is 4 to 5 hours all up in one whip, one cow whip. I'm only guessing, I don't really work till 12.
So do they have to be a certain length?
No, they don't have to. I mostly made to order.
Oh,
But
right.
while I'm here, I'll just make all different lengths to try and cover the whole all bases. This one's going to be about close to 6 foot, this one of the longer ones. 4 foot now. 4 strands it is, 2 strands out either side.
Yeah.
I'm just tensioning every strand every time. Then I'll grab one from the back and come around under one, over one, back the same side as the front, and one from the other side, under one, over one, back the same side as in. I had it cut out and prepared, but the handle finished it sitting there. Finished it off this morning. Now the reason they get me to the hall is the Stockman's Hall of Fame. Well, the stock whip is a tool of the trade for Stockman. Never go anywhere without one. A lot of people see whips hanging up in shops but never see how they get made. I hope it works. Now there's a big crowd, it's going to be a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Can't get to work. Rightio, here we go, we'll see what happens. Seems to work all right in the left hand, doesn't it? I try and make them ambidextrous, so I'll see if I get it working just as good, if not better in the right hand. See what happens. There we go, seems to work just as good in either hand, doesn't it? So when I'm making the whip, I explain about the shape and the weight and the taper right in the whip. What I'm trying to achieve in the finished product is I can just lay it out, front is laid out, cracks, next to no bounce. Less bounce, the better is balance. That one's pretty good. Another way to test has to flick it overhead like this. When you do that flick overhead, if it feels like you're trying to pull the handle out of your hand, the whip's too heavy for the handle or vice versa, or you haven't got your weight and balance right. And you don't need brute strength to crack a whip. You see people trying to wind them up, one almighty bang, nearly pull themselves off their feet. They're just going to wreck their shoulder and their whip. Sort of like driving your car redlined in every gear, it'll do it, but it's not going to last nowhere near as long.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Australian Stockman's Hall of Fame presents the Outback Stockman Show.
Whoa, hang on, whoa. Oh, that's a bit embarrassing. Probably got hat hair too, I suppose. No good at all. Can you just grab that for me, mate, just quickly there? There we go. Good boy. Well, just quickly pull this saddle off and we'll be able to give him a bit of a, oh, you can see he's pretty grubby there. And of course, one of the first jobs, you'd be going out mustering on your horse or just going for a ride on your horse. One of your first jobs, clean your horse's feet out. Mate, okay. All right, here we go. Other foot. That's looking a lot better there now. You know, a lot of Australian stock horses have been imported all around the world just because of their great reputation and their great temperament. Now, I mentioned the whalers, army remount horses. Some say they got their name because they're mostly bought and bred down there in New South Wales, and that's probably right. But a mate of mine interviewed an old fella called Jack Stanton back in 1984. Jack was a very old man back then. Way back in the day, Jack was actually involved in breaking in army remount horses. Jack said all the horses they broke in, he said they went overseas on old whaling boats or old whaling ships. He said you can put 270 horses on a whaling ship. He said that's how they left Australia, so that's why they call them the whalers. You know, as these sheep come out, you'll see a line of sheep through them, all your yellow taggers there, your merino sheep. That's what they would have been shearing around Longreach back in the day and virtually all over Australia. Here, push up, push up. Now, the merinos, of course, are famous for their wrinkles. You'll see they've all got wrinkly necks on them and some a bit wrinkly over the back there. The reason for the wrinkles, here, push up. Go back. The reason for the wrinkles, they try and breed as many wrinkles in. More wrinkles, more wool, more money down the end of the track, you know, shearing time. These sheep here, the merinos, their virtually wholly and solely job is to grow wool. They'll be shorn annually, and of course their wool will be sold off to make... There's something wrong with Kel today, I do not know what. Last year I was over in South Australia doing some shows. I was actually at a little place called Strathalbyn at the time. Anyway, I had to do a bit of promo stuff, so I was riding Jigsaw into town there, you know, just riding down the street. Trying not to draw too much attention to myself, of course, and I rode him over the weighbridge. He was 1,140 kilos with me in the saddle on, so he's a bit over a tonne of beef, this fella.
This is not an original Qantas Catalina. It is the closest we could get to a Qantas Catalina. And the reason we wanted to get a Qantas, or to get a Catalina, is to tell the story of the double sunrise flight. Because this is where our museum started operating in 1990, it's hard to believe, but we were in this little tin shed when we first started, and in 2002 we built the main museum that you see today. So small beginnings like Qantas. So this is known as the 1922 National Heritage Hangar, Qantas Hangar. It is National Heritage Risk listed because of its connections to the early days of Qantas. So November 1934, the service was supposed to start on the 10th of December 1934. And as a result of this crash, the aircraft was grounded. We have a tree on nursery. I will give it back to you. Right next to it is an aircraft. That is the PH-50. The name of that aircraft was the Victory, or Victory was the first aircraft that the Royal Flying Doctor Service had, but it was formerly owned by Qantas.
I'm Richard, everybody. I've got the job taking you out to the Thompson River where we're putting you on a couple vessels. Can you hear me down the boat? Yes. I wasn't aware of that. Now's the time for you to speak up.
Yeah.
Because I will drop you off at the Budlow right now real quick and you can get whatever grog you want.
Champion, off you go.
The water hole down here, when they invented the long water hole, They called it the Longreach of the Thompson River. So the Thompson only starts up here at Muddabur, about 120 kilometres up here to our north, and they decided to put a town beside this big long billabong, and they had to come back to what us locals call Mount Longreach. So we've got floodplain all around us, and when we get a decent flood, she comes 6 inches over the road right here where we are. And Longreach becomes a little island, and we enjoy island life for a bit. They're the only 2 rivers in the world that join up and turn into a creek. But you can't blame the poor old explorers. See, they come up from South Australia mainly into this country, and they come up through that Channel Cooper Creek system, and the Cooper Creek system looks a lot like this, just gullies, you know, gullies after gullies after gullies, and it just spreads out. And then they got up here and they saw the big channels, and they thought this was really the rivers up this end and the creeks were that end. And you can't really blame them, because the landfall, they tell us, is only 10 millimetres per kilometre all the way to the bottom of the channel country, which is pretty not much. You can, when this old girl's in full flood, you can walk faster than her. Yeah, all this stuff that comes out on the floodplain here just becomes stagnant pretty well, and it's only when the channels drain away that it drains back into the channels and away it goes. It wanders on down through the Cooper system, and eventually it does a right-hand turn down there somewhere and goes over into South Australia, and if it's got enough behind it, it pushes over into Lake Eyre. Well, the amazing thing about Lake Eyre is it never ever fills up and it never overflows. It's the largest watershed area in the world that doesn't see the ocean.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that come out on the other bus with Richard, my name's Lane Kinnan. I'm going to be your boat skipper tonight. Coming on as my offsider is Serena. She's going to be my deckhand or your hospitality consultant, okay? See these birds circling around? There's a bit of a mixture here. There's whistling kites amongst them and black hawk. Now you've got some over here on the left-hand side that you think might be about to come out of the ground. They've all been washed out from underneath them. Them old trees do have a very big root system in them. Yeah, they just stop by here for a bit, especially with Lake Eyre all being full. They'll be heading down through there. Now, he said how they get to that age over the years is they pair for life, the whistling kite. They keep coming back to the same nest every year. No, they don't live for 80 years, but what happens is, once mum and dad bird's done with that nest, one of the family members will take on the same nest again. See, there's too many people going to one side there now.
So welcome to our camp and thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed the cruise. Righto, lovely big crowd tonight, so we'll split you in two and line up half on either end of the bench and grab a fork. Hey Lane, what's this?
This is white caviar, me rooster. You can do a new trick.
A new trick?
Yeah, spin on a shrimping.
Really?
Yeah, you look at this. Now he's winging it.
Now you've got him giddy. He's giddy, he won't be able to run straight.
And I remember we come into town with Dad in the work ute one day, me and my brother, and we're passing all these caravans, just stacks of them. I remember him saying to us boys, man, if we could only get a couple $1 out each one of these vans that went straight past our front door, it'd be a big help on the land. And I suppose that's where the idea really kicked off from. A few years later, we're still in that dry time, and we had to do something. Diversify to keep that land or sell it. That's where Dad started off with a cob and coach, a couple horses. Mum put together a station store, and we've been doing tourism ever since. Then these little boats come up on offer, and then we took them on as well. So that's how we come to doing tourism. A few years of doing the boats down here, we wanted to put another side to the night, and that's where the light and sound show come into it. Now, if you've been to the Hall of Fame, you've probably seen some paintings up there by a fella called John Morrison. Now, he got told the Harry Redford story when he was 13 years age by his great-granddad. Now, his great-granddad left that on record for him. He didn't only write the story, he's painted the full story.
Drought, flood, and storm. It's also a place of deep peace and strange beauty that seeps into your bones.
Hey, who you calling a bleeding horse, mate? What a galah. Ah, no, not you lot. You're a fine looking mob, you lot, yeah.